I'm Lee Tatum. I'm born and raised in Louisville. I've worked in wine and spirits my entire career, about 30 years. 23 of that was at Brown Forman here. And then I took over running Kentucky Owl Bourbon, which is a very high-end bourbon brand. And then I joined Innerstave about a year ago, bringing alternative barrel oak products. So coming up with new and innovative ways for people to age spirits and beer and wine with alternatives to barrels. And so that's a little bit of my background story. In terms of what I'm seeing right now, my role is very new, so I'm kind of taking on all of the spirits world. The problem is there are 3,600 distilleries in the world, and there's only one of me. So right now I'm working on our long-term strategic plan and 5-year plan to try and figure out how do we ramp up adding new people that can help me both in the Kentucky, Tennessee area, but also across the country, so that we can have regional sales and marketing people to handle all the regional craft distilleries, because there's so many of them and they're being built every day.
So do you feel like people want to work in this industry? Is it something that you're attracting people that would be interested, or is it a challenge right now to even think about who you might hire?
Anything related generally to wine and spirits, because of the nature of the product itself, people tend to enjoy working in that area. So I know, at least with the distillers that I work with, they have people knocking on the door, and especially young people who are getting their start, that want to come into the workforce. And it's depending on where they are area to find people, but in Louisville and the surrounding areas, it's not very hard. And I unfortunately, I'm in a position I turn down more people than I can bring on at this point, but over the next 5 years, I hope that'll change.
Okay. So what kind of culture do you feel like, you're in a rapidly growing industry, but what is it that would make Innerstave different and appealing to an employee that they wouldn't find somewhere else?
Well, I think, our culture is, because we're a relatively small company, is very fast moving and very innovative. So I can get, I report to the president of the company. I can get him on the phone in 5 minutes and get a decision made pretty quickly. And we're a very, young company. The president and I are a little bit more seasoned veterans, but the rest of the team are all millennials. So it's a very young company, and those guys, challenge me and bring a lot to the table with new ideas that, maybe I haven't heard about before. And then some of the things we do, because it's innovative for the wine and spirits industry, we kind of challenge our master distillers and distillery partners to think differently about how they view maturation, especially at a time when actually barrels and new barrels and used barrels are actually hard to find right now. So they need to find ways to distinguish themselves from a liquid standpoint. And our culture allows us to move pretty quickly and pivot into whatever direction we need to.
Okay. So when you're looking at people in the industry, do you feel like there's a lot of openness to innovation? Or is it's such a traditional industry?
Yeah, so when I came into this role, my number one concern was that it's a very traditional industry, and I would get a lot of doors slammed in my face because people don't want to change. And it, is concern, but I've actually been really pleasantly surprised that most people are definitely willing to listen, and they want to test products out, and they want to see what's out there because they know someone else is going to utilize these, and they don't want to be, behind the 8 ball, having not done it themselves. So we're working with quite a few different distilleries, working with a beer company here in the area, and it's been very happy actually with the amount of enthusiasm that we've garnered, and not just here with tequila companies in Mexico. There's a lot of interest, so it's kind of across the board.
Oh, okay. So have you been facing any challenges with your growth?
I mean, I think it goes back to my maybe earlier comment. The biggest issue I have is that there's more opportunity out there than there is of me to go get it. So,
Okay.
that's where we need to, as your sign says, we need to engage and grow our business, which is why I'm kind of focused on, what's our 5-year strategy and where do we bring in new people. I can't be at a distillery in Bardstown and then in the afternoon be at one in Central Texas. I had to skin that cat.
So what advice would you give to someone else who is trying to grow their team?
I think find somebody that can challenge you, especially for, somebody like me who's been around a long time and been with, a very large multinational company for a long time, to think of new ways to reach out to customers and partner in different ways. We're doing a lot of that now with, social media that previously we might not have done, but we're doing a lot of content creation and literally showing people how we make the products that we make.
Okay. So if you had to begin all of this again, what would you do differently?
I don't know what I would do differently. I would maybe have pushed myself to go into I was primarily in sales and marketing, and then on the corporate side, and a lot of branding and innovation and new product development. I wish I had pushed myself to become, maybe get into a finance role and be able to round out my experiences that way. I went to law school, so I'm pretty good with words, but I'm not as good with numbers as I wish I was.
Got it. So where do you see Innerstave going in the future? I know you're working on a 3 and 5 year plan, but what's the future look like in terms of the company and the team, and where do you see it all going?
Yeah, I think right now we're very focused in the wine business and predominantly in California, which makes sense. It's where most of the wine's produced. But I want to grow the spirit side to the point that we're actually larger than the wine side over the next, 5 to 7 years, and become a more balanced company in terms of where our customer base is. And then I want to be able to, through mediums like this and bourbon podcasts and other things, get the word out to consumers that the use of our oak alternative products to barrels are actually an innovative solution and is more sustainable than barrels, actually, because we get much more equivalent barrel oak out of a tree than the barrel makers do. So it kind of helps the ecology long term.
Very interesting aspect on that. So as you grow your team, is there any one thing in particular that you're looking for in a future hire?
I mean, just people that can be really self-motivated and self-starters that will go out and really be willing to knock on doors and find a pretty big network of people within the industry, so that I was able to get meetings with potentially very large customers that, somebody else might not. But if they're going to be in Texas or New York or Washington State, I can be able to be there with them all the time. So they need to be able to, go out and really tell our story.
Well, it's a very unique story, and I'm delighted to learn more about it. So I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to do it.
I wish you great success in building your team, and certainly let me know if there's anything I can do to assist with that, whether it's team building exercises. Engage and Grow is actually we have several programs that help teams to work more cohesively together. So I'll follow up with some information and send you the link to this interview. And I wish you great success.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Sandy.